Hey guys, this is day 4. We're going to start with our tariff that kind of still goes with our imports, exports. We're going to look at the tariff definition and talk a little bit about that. Then we'll go into our others. A tariff is a tax or duty to pay on a particular class of imports or exports. Um, Basically, what it is, you put this on, a lot of countries put this on what you bring in so that the price is higher, so they still buy the goods of the country that's made. So if we brought in a car from China, America would put a import tax on it, which makes the price a little bit more. So hopefully people will buy American cars first. Your second term, we talked a great deal about him earlier, but I still want this term to make sure that we all remember is Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Presbyterian preacher. He's famous for his "I Have a Dream" speech, where he was promoting racial harmony and civil rights and equal rights for African Americans, and that everybody have the same rights. Dr. King, if we can look through here, was a student of Gandhi, not an actual student, but read his teachings, and he was into nonviolent protest or peaceful protest. And we'll talk about it here. We can see Dr. King here at the "I Have a Dream" speech. Um, he was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, in April of 1968. We celebrate him today as a advocate for equal rights for all people. As I said, his peaceful protest was basically where they would do things, and they knew that they were going to get arrested, and they knew that they were breaking the law, but it was unjust laws, so they would protest against them. I was wanting to, let me try to see if I can show you some of the main peaceful protest, which was seen as a lunch counter. And we talked about this in class before, but you can see a lot of these people would be, when they protested, African Americans and whites, they would go in, they would have counter sit ins. And what they would do is they would sit here because they could not, the place would not serve African Americans. And they would sit there and people would crowd around them and dump stuff on them and holler at them. And then the police would show up and they would arrest the people that were sitting at the counter for breaking the law or disrupting the law or things of that nature. And they knew it was going to happen, but they were showing that, what's wrong with our society at the time by having things like that. A couple other definitions that we talked about in class is culture. Remember the customs, arts, institutions, and achievement of a nation, people, or group. Okay, that's our culture, our beliefs, what we do, what we're part of. That's our culture. And naturalization is the last term for the day. And this is how, when immigrants come into our country, they go through a process to make them a naturalized citizen. Okay, there's a lot of talk about legal immigration and illegal immigration. Illegal immigrants do not become naturalized and should not have the rights of, um, the country until they go through the naturalization process. They still should, human nature, you should still help a person out, but you still try to gear them towards naturalization and becoming part of that nation if they plan to stay. Now, there's all kinds of things like visas and different things that can allow people to come into our country and work, and can allow them to come into our country and go to school. But if they want to stay, a lot of times they'll go through what's called a naturalization process where they become citizens of that country. So those are day 4 terms. I'll get day 5 up, and then we'll start with day 6 next week.